Okay, welcome everyone to this session that is on overcoming barriers to CCAM deployment in cities and understanding expectations from local authorities. In this session, we will go through a first hypothesis that will be presented by Wolfram Klar from Austria Tech, and then we will have some clear examples of CCAM deployments from the experiences of the city of Turin and from the city of Tampere, and I will present the speakers a bit after when we go into the topic. Before that, I wanted to give a bit of a background about why we are addressing this topic. Throughout the past few days, I think in the session, we talked a lot about what cities need to do, but not about what cities actually need from different levels of governance or from just society as a whole. So with that, I just wanted to explain a bit that we have seen a shift since the past years about, a topic that was very highway-oriented and on passenger cars, and now it's shifting a bit more to more urban settings, and cities are being used as test grounds for CCAM deployments. So within the project show that finished last year, we were able to gain a lot of learnings, and we had 4 years to actually discuss with many cities about why cities should prepare for CCAM. And throughout these discussions, so these are based on the discussions that we had. If you want more recommendations or more specific recommendations, you can find them in the QR code. But this is a handful of what were the topics that regularly came up when we were talking with cities about what they actually need to consider when deploying CCAM. So there was quite a consensus about the CCAM should help to achieve climate neutrality, but also emphasizing that it should not replace mass transit, that cities already have digitalization commitments, for instance with CITS, so why not use that infrastructure when you're talking about deploying CCAM? There was also the topic about why not use what's already out there when you're talking about the existing infrastructure. So there was a lot of interest in, for instance, using the dedicated bus lanes. And one topic that came back in several of the sessions today, which was about reskilling and training the people that work in manufacturers, but also the people who work as public servants. So there's really a need to understand what is data, how to process GDPR, and everything that might be related to CCAM. So it goes to AI and other topics. This is something that is not necessarily just specific to, let's say, CCAM. I think it's topics that are quite relevant when you talk about new disruptive technologies that come in cities. There's also this acknowledgement that if cities do not plan ahead for CCAM, whether it's to support it or not, that it may lead to negative externalities, so pushing a bit the modal shifts away from public transports. So this is kind of an acknowledgement that we know that CCAM is happening in cities and that some cities are interested in it, but there's also the element of the SRIA. So I'm going to get there. So the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda from the CCAM Partnership. So right now we're arriving at the phase 2, which is about combining use cases and extended ODD, but it's also about using the learnings that has been done in the first phase. So we do acknowledge that cities are important test grounds, but now it's about really what do cities need to do to enter the phase 2 of the SRIA. I'm going to click and wait. There you go. So I think I just missed another slide, sorry. Okay. Based on the learning of show, so it became apparent that cities are important test grounds for CCAM, but we need to fully understand what they would need to do, especially from different levels of governance, what they would need to have actually, to be able to lead CCAM that is meaningful, sustainable, and inclusive. So with that, today we will talk about why cities are interested in CCAM in the first place, what are the key challenges the cities face, and how can different mobility ecosystems in cities contribute to overcoming these barriers. There will also be the address of what national level can do to support cities and what is appreciated by cities also in this deployment, beyond the funding element, of course. So today, without further ado, I will give the floor to three experts in the field of CCAM in cities. The first speaker being Wolfram Clare, the team leader of automated mobility at Austriatech. Then there will be experiences shared from Elena Deambrogio from the Turin House of Emerging Technologies CT Next program at the city of Turin. And we have Mika Kumala, the senior advisor at City of Tampere, who has been working on CCAM deployment for many, many years now. So yeah, I will give the floor to you now.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Okay, hello from my side. I'll try to present to you a hypothesis. And it says that cities and agglomerations will benefit from automated mobility. So it means that let's start that way. Why should cities and agglomerations will benefit from automated mobility? It's because of the improvement of public transport by better services and coverage, having lower costs, hopefully higher flexibility, and not really for mass transport, because automated mobility should rather bring benefits to areas where we have a lower population density. Mass transport is quite optimized already. There's not much you can do there. But also there are new solutions for freight transport, especially when we're talking about delivery activities, with the potential to reduce the number of the trips and the costs and the congestion. So also freight transports should benefit from automated mobility. Last but not least, not to forget about communal services. Cities have significant costs when we're talking about waste collection, road cleaning, and so on, activities who could also benefit from automated mobility. So, to my opinion, demonstrations will be able to prove that this hypothesis is true, but there are some requirements which need to be fulfilled, and yeah, let's go there for a moment. Number one, we need a regulatory framework, kind of legal framework to allow for the various tests we're talking about, or for the implementation. Ideally, they would be harmonized across Europe, but from the point of a city, that's not the most urgent point. We need to have this regulation usually being differentiated between testing activities and regular operations. And we need to be aware that testing is a long process, since we're talking about a whole system which needs to be tested and not only a single vehicle. And this technology is continuously evolving. About the regulatory framework, within the FRAME project, we did a survey and we did collect the information about 30 countries in Europe. And we found out that 22 out of these 30 countries have a legislation being a basis for AV testing. And I think that's a good number, and so it should be pretty fine for a lot of cities in Europe. Yeah, that's a nasty point. The technology needs to be available, at least for the testing. And as I said before, we're not talking about a single vehicle, but we're talking about a whole system which, besides the vehicle, includes the backend, the infrastructure, being physical or digital, and communication, whatever. And there are a variety of tasks to be improved by the automation, and that requires a variety of different vehicles and system components. And some of the infrastructure components, being physical as well as digital, are or might be in the hands of the city. So that's a part where the city should be able to deal with that. And About the technology, yeah, we need it to be ready, but it's a step-by-step thing, and we need to start with such things already now and not to wait until everything is finally and complete. Requirement number 3. For such a test, for demonstration, we need a field of application. And that, in our case here, now it's the city. But also there's a lot to be done and a lot of requirements being addressed there. There's the need to understand the potential of introducing automated mobility. So it's not a playing field, but the city needs to be involved and engaged in that activity. And the city, it might seem easy, but sometimes it's not. The city must be willing to run a test of sufficient mass and duration. And the city needs to provide sufficient flexibility and willingness to adapt and change internal structures and processes where this might be required. So it's not something to say, okay, it is as it is, and the demonstration or the operation can be done. As it's a complete system which touches a lot of points there, cities need also to adapt and being flexible to accept and to continue there. That becomes even more crucial if the city also is acting as a transport operator, because for sure there is even more to be considered. And therefore, the city must provide the required support and promotion of these activities for this project, and that has to be done on various levels. The administration needs to be done, the communication to the public, but also the inclusion of the commerce and industry, whoever is involved there. Requirement number 4. Hopefully, number 4. Yeah, there's one. Financing. Such demonstrations, well, hopefully, prove that the benefits of automated mobility for the city and the inhabitants are true. On the downside, such demonstrations will cost money, and even more money that they, at the beginning, are able to save. So there needs to be additional funding for the city, because, as far as I have seen so far, cities usually don't have a lot of money to spend on top of what they're already spending. So whatever costs there are for such an activity, there needs to be additional funding to run these tests and operations. So at the beginning, I wouldn't expect that anybody is making a lot of money out of such a demonstration. But that's not the intention, but we need to be aware of that. So just to wrap it up, we need a regulatory framework which in a lot of countries is already there. For sure, it's also something which is evolving, but let's say it's ticked to some extent. Regarding the technology, as I said, vehicle plus the whole system, it's mostly there, but if it's all not already there, then it will be in the near future, and it's definitely already time enough that we can start to deal with that. And it's always a question of the requirements, if the technology is good enough for what we are doing or not. Yeah, the city needs to be willing to introduce the automated mobility. If that's not the case, maybe it's the wrong city. Yeah, financing, it's still a challenge, but that's something we need to solve, otherwise it wouldn't really work. But, there's always a but. Even if one or the other of these requirements is not fulfilled in a city yet, there is still a lot which can be done right now, and it should be done already right now. What I'm talking about? I'm talking about considering the potential effects and requirements of automated mobility and services within their planning. Planning is a long process for cities. Planning is a process which involves a lot of money on the long run. And therefore, for example, if you invest in buildings and infrastructure, streets, whatever, these are, as I said, long-term investments. And if a city would do it in a way, I wouldn't say wrong, but in a way which does not reflect the potential needs and whatever to do with automated mobility, it could in some years be the case that they find out that was not the best idea. So even if you do not know as a city when it will become, and if the vehicles will be green or yellow, or if they will be running at a speed of 30 or 35 or 50 kilometers per hour, but there are some crucial points which should already be considered right now. And what could be examples for that? If a city does development concepts, please just think about automated mobility. If you plan to expand your city on the greenfield, consider automated mobility to become and being potentially a very crucial point of your future mobility system. If you're going to procure communal services, maybe also there, automated mobility should be considered. Your renewal of traffic infrastructure, that's, to my opinion, really a must already, but also for areas which might not be in the first position in your mind when you come to that. If you're doing public participation processes, let's also talk about automated mobility. Even when you're hiring new employees, those who have an idea what automated mobility does might be very useful in a very short time. And yeah, I hope that the stories who are going to be told today will support my hypothesis. But I'm of the opinion that only widespread and respective tests and demonstrations will be able to prove it. But I hope there will be a lot of tests and we can see if it's proven or not. Thank you.
So next to respond to this, there will be Elena from the city of Turin who will explain your experiences with CCAM as part of your program.
Let's try. Okay. I'm very happy to be here today and also to try to confirm the requirements that were just mentioned. So I would like to start with explaining Torino Impact City and Torino as a lab approach, because it is the very basis on how Torino is facing this important momentum in the mobility sector, where to promote and to put here real CCAM in cities. So since the last almost 10 years, maybe, Torino has launched a specific open innovation policy, which is called the Torino City Lab, in the way to position the city as a really open laboratory, offering its territory and assets to test breakthrough solutions in any field of public interest, including mobility, of course, in the view not only to promote innovation in technology innovation, but to find out beforehand solutions for improving quality of life of our citizens, of course. So the idea is that with the Torino City Lab, we try to advance and test beforehand the technologies to understand not only technical feasibility, but also to promote social acceptance and to the risk innovation in real conditions. So it is also an operation to, let's say, it is a learning experience both for the public authority and also for citizens. And recently, with the Torino commitment to achieve climate neutrality by 2030, Torino City Lab approach was really pushed towards green objectives and mobility, and also CCAM has been positioned within this context. So in these years, we have really partnered with more than 100 100 multi-stakeholder partners. We have accompanied more than 70 trials and worked with more than 100 testing companies with several testing labs. And of course, European projects have been a huge boost for us, also in the mobility sector. Along with this process, of course, and here I align with the previous speaker, we really find out that technology infrastructure is key to innovate, and it is an enabling factor for promoting future mobility service. That's why, again, since 2018, thanks to the presence in Turin of an already integrated mobility center, we had the possibility to boost technology infrastructure within the so-called Smart Road project and the Smart Road circuit. So a 35-kilometer of testing area track from the north to the south of the city, which is infrastructure and keep being infrastructured with various traffic sensors, cameras, roadside unit, to do what? To experiment innovative CCAM applications based on strategic urban technologies, and of course deploy a digital ecosystem which can enable urban mobility service focusing on specific needs of mobility in cities like Torino, so safety, efficiency, commodality, sustainability, and so on. So this is the urban roadmap of Torino since 2018 to today, just to showcase that future mobility has grown thanks to investment also in technology infrastructure and also through testing activities. So again, I have to confirm the second requirement. So we need testing, we need the city as a whole to put in place and to understand how these technologies can become not only testing, but services, real services in the near future. So that's why smart mobility and the smart road in particular has been put as a priority within the Turin House of Emerging Technology, which is a hub through which a technology transfer hub centered on 5G and emerging technologies applied to local strategic sectors in Torino, and one of these is smart mobility with a strong focus on CCAM. And within this context, the city not only has put at disposal stress test areas as the ones you see in the picture, but accompanied, realized the proof of concept with the research partners, and also accompanied, again, companies, startups, SMEs, and also corporate in terms of promoting the processes of open innovation to deliver testing activities in the CCAM sectors. These are some really small examples ranging from AI application to into our cameras, for instance, to process information about meteorological condition directly to be transformed in cooperative ITS, or equip the camera to detect the vulnerable road users to enable CCAM operations in Torino, or micromobility platform of self-driving and assisted wheelchairs. So these are really some examples. There are much more ongoing. But the idea was that also Turin House of Emerging Technologies has been a huge boost for promoting CCAM technologies in Torino. It was not enough, and also funding was not enough, and other requirements. That's why we applied to a national program, and we had the possibility to use about 7 million euros to create an overall dedicated living lab to CCAM technologies in Torino. This time, not only with the aim to do small testing activities on vehicles, on the infrastructure, but to do it as a whole and to co-develop and test future mobility services. The project is ongoing, and we have identified some specific testing activities with the final aim, of course, to enable simple, safe, accessible, and sustainable mobility in Torino, integrating CCAM technologies with the mobility as a service paradigm. 3 large-scale demos are ongoing. maybe. We can go. No, too much. So the large scale, I know them by heart. The first one is to deploy digital twin solutions for smart mobility with the idea to support through different sources of data from real sensors through and also through the ones gathered through the mobility center. And to support smart and sustainable mobility planning, including automated driving. So tools to let us understand how to plan automated driving in Torino. The second large scale is an autonomous dial-a-ride shuttle service. What does it mean? That we are co-developing and testing an autonomous collective public transportation service integrated within the mobility as a service application running in Torino. So from September onwards, it will be possible to choose from our application on the phone, not only to use a bus or to park the car somewhere or a taxi, but there will be the possibility to have a last mile, 5-stop service with a small shuttle all around the university campus in Torino. And all this associated with the use of cooperative infomobility services to, with the FIMA lane to really accompany the user to reduce the use of private transportation. This is important for us, even if it seems that 5 stops is few, because it is considered as a test of service, really co-designed with real users, with the public transportation company, and with the public administration accessing future scalability of the service. The last large-scale demonstrator is about robotics solutions applied to goods delivery in the city center. And again, it is not only a technical test, but we are accessing use cases, for instance, with the logistics operator to understand how different models, such as the mothership models, can be applied in the future in a real-life context, even in commercial context, of course. And not only large-scale demonstrators in the view and the spirit of a living lab, this open lab should be as much open as possible. That's why we also launched and just closed an open call targeted to startups and SMEs and also corporate to promote further use cases using and deployment CCAM technologies in real conditions. So the participation was huge, and now from May onwards, we will accompany further at least 12 projects with at least 20 companies together with us using the infrastructure and the digital ecosystem to deploy further use cases and involving citizens in these testing activities. So just to put in evidence the importance of the enabling technology ecosystem, as we have already said, that's why within the To Move project, we will keep improving the technology infrastructure through roadside unit for V2I communication, cameras for vehicle monitoring, and traffic light centralization to provide real-time traffic light regulation data. All these to really continue to equip the city to be ready for CCAM in the near future. But, and here I had a requirement to the previous speaker, it is not only about putting at disposal the city, the technology, the regulation, even if in Italy I have to say that regulation is not so easy and we operate through regulatory sandboxes. It is also to involve the society within these processes, because they will be, the future mobility is for the society, for people, for users, and also for industry which is leaving the city. So within the To Move project, a strong effort is really in involving communities, not only as testing users, but as co-designer of their services. That's why, for instance, we have, through the University of Turin, we also created a special engagement process through vulnerable users of course, different types of disabled association, families, old people, and so on, with the idea to co-design days, future services for everybody, for all, so accessible for all. And so all in all, the concept of the Torino as a lab approach is really to enable CCAM through technology infrastructure, smart road infrastructure, but also 5G to 6G, to advanced 5G connectivity, to provide real stress test facilities and labs, to accelerate innovation, to promote, to give the possibility to have a specific competence center like Turin House of Emerging Technologies with technical partner assisting not only the city but companies in the area. And also, again, to have specific innovative administrative toolboxes, from testing contracts with the companies to the activation of regulatory sandboxes when the current regulation cannot allow us to put these services into operation, and also the strong tool of public procurement of innovation, which can give a boost in the future for this. And all the other immaterial assets, such as facilitated relationship within the municipal departments or with the public utilities, with other partners, the possibility to put at disposal open data, the possibility to create the right context for involving community in these activities. So, in a word, our Turin as a lab approach is not only about the technology, but there is a growing focus on ethics by design and citizen rights in planning future mobility. In conclusion, I'm also happy to mention that we have also created one of the first boards, the first in Italy and among the first in Europe, on the ethical use of emerging technologies for urban innovation in order to pre-access the ethical impact of these emerging technologies on real life and to try to solve them beforehand and to promote a responsible innovation at the benefit of everybody. That's
Thanks, Elena. And now I would like to welcome Mika to complement what was done in Turin with the case of Tampere.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So my name is Mika Kulmala, and City of Tampere, working responsible for traffic lights, traffic management, and smart mobility in the City of Tampere. So I'm not from public transport department. I talk a lot about automated public transport, but I'm the smart mobility department. Tampere, we have 260,000 inhabitants, 180 kilometers north from Helsinki. So number of same size of cities in Europe, and some examples what we have done and what kind of experiences we have, what kind of questions we have, and so what we have done while our pilots. Start with I think that the cornerstone of all, the political support and willingness to do things. And I think that that's the key point, that we work towards the same goal in EU level and national level and in local level. And in Finland, we have a well-organized ministry, organized ecosystem like workshops. We discussed with authorities and companies and universities, different kind of organizations, unions, insurance policy, that what kind of legal framework, what are the technical maturity right now, what are the good things and bad things, and what we have to do in different sections, and so that's a very fruitful way to do things, and we have a good knowledge that what is the situation. Discussion in open table, and in local level we have initiative 2014 that we have to develop automated traffic in Tampere. So the political backbone and willingness is, we have a quite long history of doing things. More information needed. So we have done lots of reports and plans. What we have to do because of automated traffic is coming next years, and different kind of plans for testing an environment and testing plans for piloting, how we develop our infrastructure, what we have to do in streets and so, and that's because of we have to discuss with all departments that technology is coming, and we have to prepare our organization and infra to that. And after each plans and reports, discuss with decision makers that what is the situation, and different kind of boards in our own department that what is the situation. And the key point is that developing automated public transport is mentioned in our main strategies, mayor program, city strategy and regional strategies. 2017, there was mentioned that in our mayor program that we have to develop automated public transport because we have a new tram system 2019, and we have to have automated feeder traffic to that tram when it's ready. Also other strategies, land use and public transport strategies, ITS strategy, sustainable urban mobility plan, and climate neutral plan. So different kind of papers, and all the automated public transport is mentioned in all the papers. City development is a long way. It's long-term decisions, and when we make a land use planning and plan the streets and build streets, it's tens of years. So we have to think about automated transport part of our city development, and of course we have to promote sustainable modes of transport and make our public transport more efficient. And that's the main goal, of course, and because that's that is a long-term planning. We have to think that where is the places where we can use automated vehicles, automated public transport, and after that we have to think about land use planning, land use architects and land use planners, street planners, traffic planners, that what is the place, what kind of infrastructure we have to build. And in Tampere we have 3 different points, feeder traffic to tram, as I mentioned, then new city areas without not so much parking places, that there is a centralized parking in some places, and of course in rural areas there's a demand-based automated public transport. There is a lower popular density. And number of questions, what kind of infrastructure is needed? We have discussed with other departments that if we build the infrastructure to automated public transport, what is the size of street? Is there more space to people and green? It's only narrow street for automated buses. How many stops? Is there turning point places? What kind of car parking? Because it's always a problem to automated vehicles. Bypass locations, charging, because buses are e-buses, and is there a depot needed near the routes and so on? Number of questions, and we don't have a model that what kind of infrastructure we have to build. We have to discuss in different kind of organizations and departments. And while our pilots, we have a couple of examples. Of course, we know that curbstones, traffic signs, paintings are important for automated vehicles and data. But this is one very simple example for our pilot. We drive in Lintuhytti with automated vehicles, and it was have to be take off to manual control because we have to change the direction. But after we build this kind of turning points, so after that we can drive 100% automatically in automatic mode. So that's the infra that we don't know in starting point. So while pilot, we can get information and experiences that what kind of infra is needed. Data, of course, we need that. We know that automated transport need data, static data from our infrastructure, also real-time data, what happens in our traffic network and the roads. Automated vehicles are driving roadworks, some kind of disruption situation and weather conditions in our routes. So we collect all the data from our roads. Then the winter, our pilots, we say that if it works in Finnish winter conditions, I think that it works everywhere because we're -20 Celsius and snowing, and we have to drive in these conditions. So winter maintenance is one very special thing in Finland and in Tampere. And the first comment, we start with the basic maintenance, but we have some problems, and we discuss with the maintenance department, and they said, no, we don't clean the streets with the toothbrush because of you have automated vehicles. But after we raise the maintenance level to normal level where we have public transport routes, after that, no problem. So everything goes well. More data, as mentioned, CITS data, discuss with traffic lights, two-way communication with traffic light controller. Is there needed ITS G5 or is it cellular connection enough? Maybe cellular needed is enough. Then the real-time data. While our pilot, we start with no real-time data, but after we collect real-time data from our public transport, and it was in our journey planners, the passenger number of passengers increased significantly. So it's very important that when we make pilot, that it's a very good pilot, that we have all the data and the routes are very good, that we can get the results and the full potential of the pilots. A few words about pilots we have had. Sohojoa was the first 10 years ago. We drive in cycle road 12 kilometers per hour, and after that, SOU project 4 years, EU-funded project, and now we have a Metakatse EU-funded project going on, and the basic idea is that feeder traffic to our new tram system in Hervalta, 3.5 kilometers, 8 stops with shuttles. In Lintuhytti area there's tram end stop 1.5 kilometers, only 2 stops. And then in Lempäälä, the feeder traffic to local train system, 5.5 kilometers and 17 stops, and it's a bigger bus, 21 seats. While these pilots, of course, technical testing our conditions and also requirements for our infra and remote operations and control room operations. And our goal is step by step going to commercial use. And we hope that in Metacatse project we can drive without safety driver the first tests maybe next year. And some results so far, learning and to everyone, to our decision makers and to our organization and of course to citizens. Lots of discussions. It's more familiar now, automatic public transport. User feedback, accessibility working group and Nysse user group is the large number of users, and they give feedback our public transport, and that automated public transport is one special case to Nysse Lab user group. And now in the Metacatse project, the next steps are the automatic charging and develop remote controlling. And here is some feedback from our users. Some next steps. We need more cooperation, the legal framework. We are quite active in Finland, and that's a very good way to do it. Technical maturity, large-scale pilots near the commercial use, because of the whole system must be ready. The public transport brand Nysse is very. We have to be sure that it works because the brand is so high level valid. So we have to be sure that everything is okay and safety and so. Financing, we need remote control without safety driver, of course. And after that, we have automated vehicles when it helps achieve savings, or we have a better public transport service with same money. And reliable, safe, we have pilots going on, it helps. And procurement is quite challenging. We need procurement. Bidding process and service level agreements, it's a new thing, and we are trying to procurement with automated vehicles and automated public transport, and we need more expertise of procurement and also courage to make procurements in future. And of course, in our organization leadership, a lot of discussions with different kind of departments and learning what we have done and what has happened. Infra preparations, of course, as I mentioned, what are the requirements and how can we make a better infra, because now we are building our new tram system, second and third line, and we are building a new city. We have to now know that what are the requirements for future automated vehicles. And public acceptance, as mentioned, information, good pilots, and marketing every day. Some pictures and maybe. Yes. Thank you.
Maybe I'll just stay here. It might be easier, right? So, based on the discussions that we just had right now, I think it would be it's moving a bit further. Yeah, like that. You can see the speakers that are here. So maybe just to react a bit on what you said, Wolfram, a bit earlier, that the ecosystem is willing, the cities are willing. Clearly, we can see that the cities, at least some cities, are willing to take the lead on CCAM deployment. do you think that there are some misconceptions that still persist in the city landscape, or do you think that there's still a way to kind of overcome this misconception, whether it comes from the private sector or from the public or from the cities?
I'd say there are maybe 2 points where I would think we should be aware not to make a mistake or to go into the wrong direction. First of all, I think, and I hope you believe that, that's my real honest opinion, that automated mobility can solve a lot of issues and help cities a lot. But it will not solve everything and every problem. It will also not be the public transport system in a city. It will be one component of a public transport system. And I think it's important to see this as a whole. So that's number one, to understand what automated mobility can do, but not to expect it will be the one solution for all the problems. That's number one. And number two, you have to be aware that's at the moment, I start another way around, as a city, please do not wait until you would think you would be able to buy a mobility and an automated mobility from the shelf. The technology is evolving, and if you would do that, I'm not so sure if there would be ever an automated mobility right from the shelf, because it's a whole, as I said before, it's a whole system, and you need to adapt it to your needs, this system. And if you would wait, you would lose a lot of time where you, do not do decisions you should have done to prepare your city for the implementation.
And kind of related to that, Elena, maybe I could just ask you about the collaboration you had with the mobility operators, in the sense where you were talking about it in your UBS. Is that something that was initiated by the mobility providers, or was that something that came from the city or from even national support to actually help you and guide you in this kind of framework?
Yes, first of all, I have to say that in Torino there were already a strong research-oriented basis, so some local foundation and the universities that already did a lot of applied research, always involving beforehand the public authorities and the local public transport operator. Then now that the city has decided to take a little bit, not the lead, but the idea to really invest within the ecosystem, we put together all these local partnerships within the Living Lab to move, so the research part, the local transport company, to work together, to advance together. So I think that the important part is to really work with the overall value chain, because we cannot do without any piece of the value chain, including our Infomobility in-house company who is realizing the infrastructure. So within ToMove we have the possibility to dialogue day by day, defining all the aspects to make it real.
Thanks, Elena. So maybe reacting to this, Mika, would you have any also recommendations about how your local ecosystem should look like when you want to deploy CCAM?
In Tampere we have a quite active local ecosystem. We have a ITS network called ITS Factory, which is we have almost 100 participants. There's authorities and receipts and companies, and it's since 2006, and we have made a collaboration every day, and that's the way we can keep the development of different kind of things in the table every day. And for example, EU funded projects is quite easy to find companies. We have active companies, and it's easy to find find companies to collaborate and make proposals. And our political background is that we have to develop things, and it's not only the city development, it's mostly city development, but it's also the economic policy, because active companies and utilizing new technologies and give the companies the possible to development things, and that's the way we have in our government and our organization thinking that we are enablers to companies and to receipts, and after that we can get benefits also in many ways.
And in that sense, do you believe having that support at the national level for all the ITS-related kind of topics, do you also believe that the national targets right now are currently facilitating kind of the long-term infrastructure in Tampere?
Not so much, but we have contracts with the national level that we have a development contract that, for example, tram project. We have a contract with the national level that we build together our city region, and while that, because there is a big infra project, there is also a smaller project, develop project, and automatic public transport is one piece of, for example, that feeder traffic. That when we build a tram, we have a different kind of other city development things, because it helps our region, and it's a national level good thing. Local trains and trams and more public transport, better public transport services.
Thanks, Mika. So maybe on this, I could actually ask a question to all of you. So for you as cities, what do you think as city authorities, and I'm not talking because there's kind of this misconception sometimes of putting everybody in the same patch of like the public transport operators, the public transport authorities, the city administrations. Is there something that you highly think, for instance, the city should be a leader? Should it be, let's say, somebody that facilitates, or should it really just follow the flow, wait to see what's happening if research universities are jumping in before? I mean, if you have a firm position on that, I don't know who wants to jump in first here.
First of all, I share what Mika was saying before, that there is also a question of innovation and economic policy. And this is a driver for us. So in Torino, there is a common, a very agile governance where there is not only one actor who leads. So there is a common understanding of the importance to drive such frontier technologies at this moment, and especially in the smart mobility area. We have a strong automotive past with a strong expertise, also industrial expertise. It is something to build upon together with the skills that our university and research foundation are promoting every day. So this is also a way to attract talents and to maintain talents and to promote economic development at local level. As a city, we feel strongly the responsibility to accompany the process, to be an enabler of this innovation, and to be an enabler to be as quick as possible to activate better services for our citizens. Again, I agree not to substitute any type of public transport with automated ones, but to improve, to make it more efficient, especially maybe in some specific areas. And we have to be updated and on the page to do it as soon as the regulation will allow us to do so.
Thanks, Elena.
As Wolfram mentioned, that don't wait you lose time. I think that was the... And I think that our time is now in Tampere because of we are building very big city development project, our tram system, and that means that near the tram there is a new areas of city, and we have to now check that what we have to do. We prepare our infra for automated vehicles. Where is the places? What that means for infra? And if we wait, we build our street as before, and that means that there is a private cars and bigger public transport or no public transport, because I think that automated vehicle it's not solve everything, but it's in some places it's a very good way to increase public transport users.
Yeah, I'd also like to jump in here. And coming back to something you said, Mika, before, I think it's also very important that the city is also in on this. You mentioned the political level here, and I think that's important. But on all levels of the city, it's necessary that the people who are key for that have the same mindset and want to have it and want to support it, because it will not always be an easy game. And therefore, it's necessary that all the people pull on the same rope and hopefully also in the same direction.
Thank you. I'm maybe going to stop myself asking questions. I'm going to jump back in to ask you questions. But if there are some people in the room who have any questions, yeah. Can you just present yourself before? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm from the Swiss federal government, and we're working on the problem, what do the cities? And they do nothing. They do nothing. They're just not aware that something is changing. So we're talking about something which is not in place, at least not here in Switzerland. So I love what you do, and I love it very much, even if our conditions are completely different. We won't construct anything for AVs. No, maybe for public transport, but generally for AVs, we do not invest money on that. They have to be capable to handle what everything is in place. Otherwise, we can't pay it, even if we are a rich country. What I would like to see, what we could learn from you guys, from Torino and from Tampere, is that there would be awareness between the community of cities to learn from each other, as we do learn from our colleagues like Wolfram from Austria. So we get together the way forward. Maybe it's not the same way, but we can learn from each other. And this is, in my view, I haven't seen anything about that. So from the European Party, as you are, maybe there is a way to do it, because in Switzerland, let's say, we have the community of cities, we have the community of villages. They are not aware what's going on in the future, and the topic of automated mobility in the city is so vast. So if it would be just the awareness that something is going on, would be just a great step forward in my mind.
I'll quickly jump in, because I think this is the right moment to jump in on this. Is the French ministry just launched a coalition on public transport operators and public transport authorities and cities. So we're joining together with police, EMTA, and other alliances to actually push on what needs to be done at the city level and to gain a bit of a consensus. There will be an event, I think I'm looking at Laura because maybe she knows better, but the dates should be on the 27th of June. There is an event happening in Paris where we will address all of these, and all of you are invited to join this event. It should be hybrid. But yeah, in any case, there is that kind of initiative that is being taken also at European level. But there's the microphone on your left or right.
Salut Diallo, consultant at DTV Consultants from the Netherlands. I had a question. You talked about the requirements for automated public transport. You talked about what's necessary and about your experiences both in Turin and in Tampere, and you're well on your way. But I was wondering, when is it a success? What's the end goal here? And we're working towards something, but for you as cities, what are you specifically working towards? And when do you look back and think, okay, now we're sort of at the end point?
I think the end point is that we have automatic public transport in commercial use, that it's a part of everyday life. It's a part of travel chain as normal as tram. You jump to tram, there's no, you don't know that there is a driver or not, and I think that it's the same. And in Tampere, while these pilots, it's very nice to see that that older people, they jump in with they go to shop and then back to home, and they go to automated bus, and then they drive home and jump off. And also school kids, they jump in and jump off, because it's a quite normal, because you have so many times you have tried it, and it's okay. And that's our goal that we have in commercial use. That's in bigger scale. It's we need better public transport services, and automated vehicles is part of that.
So, first of all, just to say that all what we have said is not easy. So, every day it is really hard to make it. In Italy, in particular, the regulation is not ready. Our roads are not ready. So, we have to do works, we have to do signage, we have to fight with different stakeholders. So, this is, beforehand it was the nice history, now it's reality. So not easy, but our endpoint will be when we will achieve the right, let's say, mobility mix in the city. So not to have the full public transport deployed through automated vehicles, but where our city will be more efficient in terms of mobility, more also safer and sustainable. That means that if automated vehicles can demonstrate in real condition before the regulation is ready that they can contribute somehow to these objectives, this will be the end point. And we see that there is a potential both in terms of improving quality of mobility and sustainability in city, and also in the congestion in both also the freight transport in between the city, and also there is a strong potential, as said before, in terms of innovation and economic development and talent attraction. And sorry, last but not least, in between we are developing a technology infrastructure which is also helping, let's say, regular mobility. So cooperative ITS, if cooperative ITS can help me to leave the car and take the bus because I understand in due time that I can do it and there is a parking and the meteorological condition allow me to do so, again, this is already a good endpoint.
Yeah, I completely agree that's the marathon, and I think that some days it feels like ultramarathon because of two steps forward and then 2 steps back. But we have to think that the actions talk and teach that we have to do.
Yeah, should work.
If I may. Your story sounded so incredibly smooth and planned and successful. In my country, in my city, almost any idea of a public political intervention into the familiar transportation system would create substantial political activity, discussions in the city council, media reports, sometimes even referenda. What are you doing right that we are doing wrong? Sorry, Germany. City of Karlsruhe in Germany.
Have heard wonderful histories from of autonomous vehicles in Germany, like Hamburg and so on. So you are a lighthouse in this. So I guess that anyway, the history is to be balanced. It is not always easy. We have this political discussion. We have this also distance from for us in Italy. What we feel a lot is the totally lack of regulation and the long procedure to have these testing activities through sandboxes. So when we ask to do this, we have at least to wait up to 6 months to go in real conditions. So as said, it is not easy, but we have tried to proceduralize this and to do other work beforehand and work with citizens and so do also this very important work to make community conscious about what we are doing. And this is also very important in terms of media relations, because we are expanding day by day while we are aiming towards these objectives.
And maybe adding to that, also the fact that we have Mika and Elena today, they are experts in their public administration, which is something that is also quite rare to find, also in terms of capacity within the city administrations, when you think about it. So I think it also helps a bit to know that you have the right expertise within the city administrations, that you're able to understand also the technology, or that you're willing to understand the technology, not in taking any position on it already, but you kind of know in which direction you want to go and how also CCAM could help kind of achieve the targets that you have. I mean, you were talking about the sump that you developed in Tampere, and you clearly mentioned how CCAM could complement it. And I think that's also quite relevant when you're able to have the right expertise and make the right links within your local realities. So that also helps. I don't know if anybody wants to ask another question. Go ahead. Okay.
Like this? It's related to this. Maybe I'm from the Torino example I saw, for example, I don't know what's your communication strategy, but the narrative seems to be different than we're doing CCAM. It's about safety. You talked about safety, about spatial planning and all these things. So I don't know, maybe it's about how you talk to your decision makers and convince them according these lines.
I can confirm that this is the storytelling our politicians want, and also we believe in it, of course. But for instance, our politicians don't want to speak about CCAM as an only driver. Yeah.
I think there was also one thing that we've discussed this morning, or that Wolfgang, you mentioned, was also about this capacity building and giving the right tools to the city, which is something that we've also worked in, and I think it's been work in Levitate, it's been work in Show, about giving the right tools to the city, because sometimes the city administrations have to quite forcefully go towards their even politicians to have the right assessment of how CCAM contributes to achieving, let's say, your 2030 targets or your 2035 targets. So if you're given the right tools also to be able to make these assessments, which are, I think somebody mentioned, I think it was you, Wolfram, who mentioned the cost of making these assessments for planning, which are huge. Then if you're given the right tools also to be able to provide this, not only in projects, but generally for city administrations, it's also quite helpful, I think. Go ahead.
There you go. Yeah, maybe connecting to some of the discussions we had in the previous sessions, and this alignment between the industry development of the technology and what the cities would like to implement. And thinking that, of course, when we talk about CCAM, there's one side which is what you're testing, which is realizing the promises of the technology to support both transport, shared mobility, and then there's the other side of avoiding what could be a negative scenario, which is increased kilometers driven, urban sprawl, energy usage through actual private and commercial use of these technologies in high automated vehicles, right? We usually also look back to what happened with micromobility solutions and think about should have cities acted sooner, not, have the technology implemented, and then they started saying, okay, we have to regulate where it can be parked, where should they drive, with security, etc. Should cities already start looking at those negative scenarios and implemented regulations early on so that the industry knows that's the setting and these vehicles shouldn't be available commercially? It should always be linked to shared and public transport.
I have catch the question, so Mika, if you want to, then I will follow.
Very good question, and we have concentrated on public transport, and in our, as I mentioned, in our city is now the totally chaos in traffic because of tram building, and that means that we are now building our city to pedestrians, to cyclists, to public transport users, more than private car users. So at the same time, we try to improve our public transport services. At the same time, we have in our strategy that we have to be. It's easy to come to city centrum by car, by public transport, but in the city centrum there is limited possibilities to drive private car anymore. And we are now living in it that we are changing our city quite much, and of course there's lots of feedback from private car users, but I think that at the same time we are now building the new city. We are closing as you mentioned, that there is not so much space for private cars anymore. So at the same time we can do two things.
And maybe to jump in and ask another question then, because we're talking about here the physical layer and the physical infrastructure that is needed. But when you talk about, you were talking, both of you actually, and even you in your theories, it was about kind of how data is used also. So the data from these testing activities is also used from the city. And you're using it clearly when you were talking about having it for roadworks, for having it for like improving the public service activities and services. Is this something that for you also needs to be clarified from a higher authority? That are you completely clear on how to use all of this data? Are making these requirements a bit clearer? Or we're not there yet also on the digital?
Yeah, we have done it, and we have to do it because of ITS directive and the national legislation. We have to do it if there is automated vehicles or not. But that's the basic thing, that we have a static and real-time data from our network. What happens in our network, we can operate it, and so that's the basic thing. And at the same time, it helps our public transport and automated vehicles. But I think that is it that CITS messages and so, is it needed? I don't know. I'm not sure. If I think about public transport in our traffic network, maybe we can manage without CITS messages, but private cars, automated private cars, these kinds of messages are needed. But yeah, it's a basic work we do every day, and ITS directive and national legislation, we have quite ambitious goals that what kind of data we have from our traffic network in cities and in the road network.
The context is almost the same. What we are trying also to do is to use this infrastructure which is producing data. Let's think to cameras, for instance, to use this data to enable further developments from other companies or the research. And this causes some problems sometimes in terms of GDPR, of course. So another huge block is GDPR compliance, of course, and it is something we are accessing at the time being, so to provide to external actors totally anonymized by design data in order not to stop continuous generative ideas in the mobility area, but to do it, of course, safely and in compliance with GDPR. At the national level, there is a coordination about within a national initiative, which is called the Mass for Italy, which is also setting some requirements for data gathering in this area.
Thanks, Elena. So maybe I'll jump back to you, Wolfram, because the activity here. So when you were talking a bit earlier about what cities need to do and what are the requirements, do you have a strong feeling about how cities could match the pace of innovation in CCAM? Or, I mean, matching it with their planning cycles, for instance?
What I heard today is confirming my experience that we definitely have different speeds in the different cities. We have to be honest. The examples presented here today, they are let's say, the peak of the iceberg, and there's a lot of cities still underwater. We have heard it from Switzerland, we have heard it from Germany. I can confirm the same situation for Austria. And so there's a lot to be done. I just can repeat it. Don't wait until something happens. It needs to be done also from the cities. They need to understand that it's something it could help them, and therefore they need to start. And maybe also to come back to that. Don't forget freight transport, logistics, whatever there is to be done. There are only a very few number of projects so far which looking into that, and I think that should be many more projects here. And also about the communal services, I don't really think there is a significant number of projects doing that, and I think there is also a lot of potential. And coming back to my what I said before. We need to do it to find out what the results are. Sometimes we will go in the wrong direction, but at the end, I hope we will be able to achieve the potential that we all hope for.
Thanks, Wolfram. I will just give it a last chance if somebody wants to jump in with a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. There was some talk earlier about a CAM readiness index for people to look externally at cities, and we've done it for countries with KPMG's AVRI index. Is there the flip side of that? Has anybody done a CAM readiness toolbox to give to local authorities and cities for them to start understanding the challenge and the opportunity ahead of them?
I think there are several people in this room who are working on that. I think as city networks, we also try to make it as clear as possible that cities, I mean, we were talking about micromobility. We want to avoid that it happens, the kind of same realization that sometimes technology arrives on your streets, and it's a bit unfortunate if you didn't even prepare for it, whether it's to prepare to say no or whether it's to prepare to say yes. But if it's to prepare to say no and then in 5 years realize that there was actually a measure to actually maybe work on it and accept it but still kind of regulate it, then so be it. But for the moment, there's a bit that raising awareness within the city administrations of our networks within EUROCITIES or police. And of course, there is the work that other organizations are doing for the capacity building. So the SUMP assessment, for instance, is for like cities, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's for cities who are really not involved in CCAM at a developed stage. So here we have cities who are quite late, already quite prepared for CCAM deployment, but we're trying to kind of push it at a stage that is quite early on. But it's still a difficult topic because also cities have different realities, as we were talking about. We were, within the project show, we could see that at the beginning there was a huge hype around CCAM for cities, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And then suddenly came these requirements for electrification, and it became, this whole focus was on electrification. And the hype around CCAM kind of dropped, but maybe now there's a bit this reality of how can both work together. And this is also the commission, the direction which the commission is going. So I think there is some work that's being done. There should probably be more in the years to come because of the pilots that are happening. Now we're at quite an advanced level in this RIA, so now we're talking about large-scale deployments that should happen in the coming years. So yeah, I think we are providing and we are developing as part of this first phase the tools to help these cities, and there are more to come for sure, I think. You want to jump in? Yeah.
I will continue. It sounds quite complicated, but in traffic planning department, it's a quite difficult because there is a professionals of traffic planning and professionals of technologies in somewhere. But in these cases, we have to combine these two, and it's difficult sometimes. It's a total different language they're speaking about. So, but you have to work and discuss. So that's the way to go forward.
If I may just add here, these country indexes, I mean, they have a very technology perspective. Yeah? So, and what we are also looking for with the CCAM ready approach is really talking about this. How can we actually find a common mission, really capacity building for the city administration. So for the people working there, making this a reality. So it's really about data handling, about understanding this, regulatory sandboxing, all these things, which is also new to cities. Yeah.
This morning, some projects were showcased in the plenary about capacity building and also organizational models in cities, comparing different models. For instance, I see that our cities act differently. For instance, I work at the innovation department, and I work transversally for different city departments, and then we have the mobility department. And we work really in hand by hand with our in-house company on infomobility. So it is already a governance where we have a small word with different different skills to work together. So, and then a huge help is really to open up to the research partners in the city, and also to be to try to speak and also with the market, because it is a constant learning experience. So the idea of the Living Lab is also this, because we really need to open up our mind to understand the different, to also acquire different skills that it is not let's say, regular public administration, to understand business models, to understand these advancing frontier technologies, and combining skills and innovate administrative procedure is really something that is also a fruit of this Living Lab approach, at least as far as we are.
I think we're well on time now, so I'll quickly wrap up now. Can we just re-show the slide by any chance? Thanks. But overall, I think that we've kind of reached a conclusion that cities are not just test beds for CCAM deployment, that they should be actively involved in the process, whether it is to develop the use cases or to decide on the ecosystem within their city. We've heard about diverse challenges that all of you have faced. The challenges that have been pointed out by Wolfram at the beginning, which related to funding, the social acceptance, also understanding whether CCAM is ready to solve the issues in the cities. And I think what stood out here is to understand also how national authorities can support cities. And with that, I think that there was this element of working together, the strong collaboration to work on the regulation, to build the public trust and work on the acceptance together, to strengthen the infrastructure on the long-term planning and the long-term roadmaps, and also aligning CCAM with the local climate goals. And yeah, I think that one element that stood out also and that I did not expect initially from this presentation was this cross-collaboration element. So this hub also and the ITS are nice initiatives also for national authorities to support, whether it's for funding or in terms of capacity and expertise. But yeah, so with that, I hope this session was fruitful for you. I do have this thing that I mentioned a bit earlier on the saving the date for the 27th of June. You can already register, and this is online on the CCAM partnership. So we will be happy to have you there and to be part of the conversation.
I think the split screen stopped the QR codes working.
Oopsies. Alors, it's on the CCAM partnership website. Yeah, well, ccampartnership.eu, I guess. And over there, yeah, you will have this invitation there. Sorry. Or the slides will be made available afterwards, in any case.
Good time.
We're all technical experts here, in any case, so I think we'll be fine. Thank you very much.